call of the doll. Acacia's steps were assured, paced, the sound of her heels reverberating against the musky stone walls. Henry hurried up, just behind her. The corridor was dark, dusty, creepy, Henry thought as his mentor went forward. Only feeble sun rays came from tiny light wheels, high into the ceiling, leaving most of the hall in relative darkness. The apprentice shined the faint ray of his pocket crystal toward the shadows, unveiling a dummy roughly his size. The feel of the dead, mechanical eyes of the statue on him gave him a shiver. Nervous, he jumped and quickly swooped his light to another shadow, certain that something had moved. Nothing. Only more dolls, covered by a thick layer of dust, resting, eyes open, in the immutable darkness. This isn't right. Why did we have to come here? The undergrounds have been abandoned for years. The emptiness echoed his shaky voice. Acacia stopped abruptly, the corridor coming to a fork. No one forced you. Why did you come along anyway? Why indeed? Henry had wondered ever since they cracked open the padlock that kept the corridors sealed. I need the money, and they said I'd learn a bunch by sticking with you. The young woman cracked a smile. That's why she had been encouraged to take him along. They were testing him to see if he would quit. That is an opinion. It took her only a moment to make up her mind and pick a direction. For Henry, every large corridor was the same. Some big warehouse hall with boxes, pieces of old furniture, and dummies. Lots of dummies. How can you tell which way to go? Can't you? The apprentice thought he knew what she meant. It was the call. That strange, invasive impression that someone was there, just out of sight, waiting. It wasn't a whisper. It wasn't silent either. Like what sirens would sound like were they more than myth. Do you know where it is taking us? Of course she didn't. No one knew. It was just something that you had to trust. Acacia slowed down. There was something in the air, some kind of glow. Not something you could see, but Henry's crystal picked on it and shined brightly. There are many ways of making money. Hardly as fast as this one. The woman shrugged at his interruption. I heard what you said about them. You have no affection for the dolls. Why join the Manikin Engineers then? The apprentice grunted dismissively. I find dolls creepy. I'm not the only one. You should talk to your colleagues sometime. Mannequinists are highly skilled. They are seen as the best. Working with you will raise my grades at the academy. The young mentor rolled her eyes. Another one who thought it was only about mechanics. She raised a hand, signaling Henry to stop. There was a light behind the next turn, the flickering of a flame, probably from a portable burner. The young man took a deep breath, tightening his grip on the small crystal. If you don't feel up for it, give me the equipment and leave. Her voice felt colder than the dusty old room itself. He shook his head. I'm not leaving you. What if it's a sinker? She froze at the image of those mechanical killers. The poor creatures were the perfect image of madness. The sense of their impending death, the quiet stopping of their cogs one after another, gradually drove them insane, leading them to take as many living with them as they could. Some crazy attempt to populate their afterlife. Or so was the belief. It's not, she replied. almost certain. The call was different, warmer, sadder, not desperate. They advanced toward the light. With each step, the dummies around them seemed more and more alive, watching, their mechanical eyes quietly following their every movement. "Did they just move?" whispered Henry, quickly tensing. "Stay calm. They are infused." To infuse other machines, a way for them to sense and observe intruders. Henry never knew they could do it, even with simple dummies. "Did you come to help Thomas?" A child had appeared between the boxes, dressed in rags. He was not much older than 9, and in his eyes were worry, fear, and sadness mixed with confusion. Taking a second to observe the boy and look around, Acacia confirmed their intentions. "Yes, we are here to help. Where is he?" The urchin led them through towers of boxes to a young man lying on a bed of old clothes. Thomas, surrounded by trinkets and books, had obviously hardly moved from his improvised bed in a very long time. "He's weak. He can't walk. Now even sitting is too much." Henry observed his mentor as she knelt down to interrogate the boy. "Those things don't all come from down here. I can go up through a small passage. I bring him everything he needs." There was a bit of pride in the boy's voice, but hardly enough to compensate for the thick layer of worry that was eating him. Acacia nodded slowly, taking in the rudimentary campsite around the resting man. Thomas, hearing the voice of the boy, slid a gloved hand from under a heavy blanket and waved weakly. "I brought help. They came for you," announced the boy, hurrying toward Thomas. Henry stopped the boy midway, preventing him from joining his friend. The apprentice was saddened by the child's apparent distress. How could someone get so attached to a mechanical doll, he wondered. Maybe Thomas was all that the boy had in this world. An orphan with a doll for only family. "We will take care of him. Stay with Master Acacia. They get like that sometime. Nothing we can't fix." The apprentice dropped his heavy bag and started unpacking. The boy watched, confused by the tools Henry was taking out. "I can take care of that one. I studied that kind of case." Acacia smiled, amused. She caressed the boy's hair and placed a hand on his tiny shoulder. "I didn't know you were a healer." Henry turned a confused gaze toward his master. A weak hand reached out to the apprentice's arm, warmth permeating the glove. Henry could hear the heavy, laborious breathing of the man lying in front of him. Thomas wasn't the doll. He's alive. But then who? He looked down at the urchin and, in the little boy's eyes, saw the subtle movement of the mechanical iris focusing in and out.